Hello and welcome. You're watching NDTV 24/7. I'm Shanakshi Chakravarti. The big story that we have been tracking for the last few days, after over 97 days, that is nearly 3 months of massive unrest in the island nation of Sri Lanka, its President Gotabaya Rajapaksa has submitted his resignation. Shortly after reaching Singapore, the Parliamentary Speaker's office has confirmed, days after the head of state fled protests triggered by his country's worst ever economic crisis. However, the Speaker's office has also said that the authenticity of the letter will be confirmed and an official statement will be issued on Friday. In the meantime, soon after the news spread, celebrations broke out in Gotabaya, the epicenter of the anti-government protests. People were seen singing and swaying to music. The Sri Lankans hailed this as their victory. Now, protesters had also started to celebrate as the news of Gotabaya's resignation came through. NDTV's Shrija has been on the ground tracking the story closely. She sent us this report from Colombo.
Here, outside the old parliament at Gotabaya, which was in fact founded by the protesters of Sri Lanka. For this very reason, the movement, in fact there's dance, music, you can see it all here right after where the protesters heard that the Speaker's office has received Mr. Gotabaya Rajapaksa's resignation letter. Now this is something what they call the Sri Lankan citizens as victory. This is something that they have been waiting for at least 97 days. In fact, the crowd is swelling. The crowd is swelling right here at GGG, which is commonly called the Gotabaya, created by the protesters. Basically, tents have been set up. It's almost like, you know, an amusement park of sorts. People have been staying here out of their homes for straight 97 days, having sleepless nights. You know, donations have been pouring, of course, for them. They've been having their food, sleeping here, carrying out with their protest. 24 hours, and in fact all that they've been demanding for these 97 days has been the resignation of Mr. Gotabaya Rajapaksa, which we hear right now. His resignation has reached the Speaker as well, and that is the celebration that you're witnessing at the moment right behind me. And in fact, when we spoke to the protesters here on ground, when we tried and gauge their pulse, what they say is that this is not the end of with the celebration does not mean the end of the protest, but they will continue because they haven't heard in terms of Mr. Ranil Wickremesinghe's resignation. Now, until Ranil Wickremesinghe resigns, they will not vacate this place, this very place which they have occupied, the demonstration site right outside the old parliament. Reporting in Colombo with camera person Kumar Shrija for NDTV.
In fact, Shrija also spoke to the man who could be the next Sri Lanka president, Mr. Sajith Premadasa. Listen in.
You did talk about that you'll have arrived at the consensus, right? All the party leaders. You have been nominated unanimously to the interim presidential post. What is your first step to ensure that you can bring back Sri Lanka to normalcy? Okay?
My major concern is to bring back prosperity, livability to the people of my motherland. Okay. That's my major concern. So right now we have already drawn up a roadmap. I have to say it will take a long time for Sri Lanka to recover, and I mean it. Sri Lankan people should know the reality, the truth. A lot of us will have to go through suffering, make tremendous sacrifices, at least even to come to the 2019 levels. My prediction is that it would take 4 to 5 years.
4 to 5 years to bring back Sri Lanka to what it was?
What it was in end of 2019.
Isn't that a very, very long, in terms of long period, in terms of the hardships that people are already going through?
Well, I can't lie to the people.
Yes.
I'd rather utter the truth and go home.
Why do you say
rather
so it would
than
take that long?
Rather than utter lies and attain position. That has always been my motto, and I will stand by my principles.
Well, like I did point out that there are several people in terms of talking about how your name can also be nominated, but I'm sure you've worked out your roadmap. What if you're talking to me about it's going to take really long, it's going to take about 4 years or 5 years, what would be your immediate step, as a relief to Sri Lankans? Because looks like in terms of what really the state of Sri Lanka is, has it already affected the prospects of IMF and the World Food Programme? Has it already affected?
Assuming we take over responsibility, please keep in mind we are taking over a bankrupt country, a country where in the treasury our financial levels are zero, if anything negative. I would say negative, considering the total debt that we owe as a country, both foreign and domestic debt. So we have a humongous task,
right,
an uphill mountain to climb. But we will do so as a nation state, with everyone coming together. I would like to appeal to all the 22 million people, if we attain power and position and the opportunity of governing this motherland, we would need the support of all 22 million people.
And shifting focus to a man who returned from the UAE has tested positive for monkeypox in Kerala. The State Health Minister Veena George has confirmed. He landed at the Thiruvananthapuram airport on the 12th of July and is quite stable with all vitals normal, she has confirmed. The central government meanwhile has sent a team which has experts from the National Centre for Disease Control to assist the state. Let's listen in to what the State Health Minister had to say.
A monkeypox positive case is reported, and he is a traveller from his UAE. He reached the state on 21st of this 12th of this month. So he arrived at Thiruvananthapuram airport, and all the steps according to the guidelines issued by WHO and ICMR are being taken. And the health department, government of Kerala, has also issued guidelines on monkeypox. So at present the patient is quite stable, all the vitals are normal, and the primary contacts are identified: his father, mother, the taxi driver, auto driver, and the 11 passengers in the same flight who were in adjacent seats.
And for the first time, entrance examinations for undergraduate admissions to central universities such as the Delhi University will be conducted. The Central University's Common University Entrance Test, or as popularly called as CUET, is scheduled to take place from Friday till the 10th of August. Lakhs of candidates are expected to appear for this entrance test. However, students have expressed their concerns and stress over last-minute announcement of dates and location centres and are complaining about lack of time to prepare for this examination. Here is a report.
Last-minute cramming in coaching institutes a day ahead of the Common University Entrance Test, to be held for the first time tomorrow. 16 lakh students will take the exam, now mandatory for admission to all the central universities. But there is a huge confusion among students. Why the new exam is giving students jitters?
I received the admit card for the CUT examination, but the center of examination is not specified in it. It will be really inconvenient if they announce the center of examination at the last moment.
आपके दोनों एग्जाम्स में बहुत कम, जैसे 50 को मेरा सिर्फ ज्योग्राफी का है एंड 20 को जो से बाकी सब्जेक्ट है वो सारे कम होंगे।
अब कोई बच्चा मान के चलो राजस्थान से बैठा है, उसे अपनी लड़की को DU में एडमिशन कराना है, लेकिन उसने CUT नहीं भरा, उसका ऑप्शन खत्म। अब उसे अपने लोकल कॉलेज में ही उसका एडमिशन कराना पड़ेगा।
Amid the confusion, students have started trying for admissions in private universities.
my 80% of students have secured one admission either in Sibnada or in Asoka or in OP Jindal somewhere because they are not very sure what is going to happen in their life.
The past 2 years have been extremely difficult for students across the country, and when CUET was introduced, it was introduced with the concept of simplifying things and bringing more transparency as far as the entrance in universities for students is concerned. But what seems right now is that it has done an opposite job. Now the question is whether the National Testing Agency will address the queries and the concerns of the students in time. Bureau report for NDTV.
And in a list of words deemed unfit for Parliament ahead of its new session starting on Monday, the words such as Jumla Jeevi, Bal Buddhi, COVID spreader and Snoopgate have joined everyday expressions like ashamed, abused, betrayed, corrupt, drama, hypocrisy and incompetent. These are the new words that are now deemed unfit for the Parliament, triggering instant protests from opposition lawmakers. Take a look.
I think it will go on record without my permission. Please.
The list of words that MPs can no longer use in Parliament has just got longer. Jumla Jeevi, Bal Buddhi, COVID spreader and Snoopgate have joined everyday expressions like ashamed, abused, corrupt, drama, hypocrisy and incompetent in a list of words deemed unfit for Parliament ahead of a new session starting Monday.
दूसरे दिन कहेंगे कि सदन के अंदर आना है तो
This has triggered instant protests from opposition lawmakers who say it will impede their ability to critique the government. The Lok Sabha Secretariat has issued a new booklet listing unparliamentary words.
जब खुद वो कहते हुए आए हैं, आज उनको क्यों लग रहा है कि वो शब्द ठीक नहीं है?
The booklet says words like anarchist, shakuni, dictatorial, Tanasha, Tanashahi, Jaichand, Vinash Purush, Khalistan and Khoon Se Keti would also be expunged if used during a debate or otherwise. The Rajya Sabha chairman and the Lok Sabha speaker will have the last word in expunging words and expressions.
हमारी पहले तो कोशिश रहती थी इस किताब को
Lok Sabha speaker however insisted that no word has been banned.
मैं यहाँ बताना चाहता हूँ कि जो डिबेट और चर्चा में जो लोग चर्चा कर रहे हैं वह माननीय सदस्यों को भी या अन्य जो संसद के दरवाजे जिन्होंने नहीं देखे वो भी जो चर्चा डिबेट कर रहे हैं जिनको संसदीय परंपराओं की जानकारी नहीं है उनको ये जानकारी होनी चाहिए किसी शब्द को बैन नहीं किया है.
The diktat sparked an outrage in the opposition with the Trinamool's Derek O'Brien throwing an open challenge saying he would continue to use the words. He was not alone. Rahul Gandhi tweeted his own new definition of unparliamentary in a dig at the Modi government. Another opposition leader, Priyanka Chaturvedi, used the popular meme to vent out her frustration with the new diktat. Interestingly, many of the now banned expressions were liberally used by the senior BJP leaders when they were in opposition. Sample these.
राज्य के अधिकारी को राज्य से बाहर कर दिया था. अध्यक्ष जी, यदि एक मंथरा और एक शकुनी राम और युधिष्ठिर जैसे महापुरुषों को सत्ता से बाहर कर सकते हैं तो हमारे खिलाफ तो कितनी मंथराएं और कितने शकुनी पीएसयू डिसइन्वेस्टमेंट स्कैम गायब है. अरे जिनका ढिंडोरा पीट के चुनाव में गए थे, नरसिंह राव एपिटोम ऑफ करप्शन की चार्जशीट निकाल कर चुनाव में गए थे.
मुझे वो दिन याद है दिल्ली में दंगों के बाद
अगर कांग्रेस न होती तो दशकों तक करप्शन को संस्थागत बनाकर नहीं रखा जाता.
We saw that when we unleashed these larger avenues of economic activity, that new areas and much bigger areas as far as corruption and graft are concerned suddenly started.
Today the opposition says the new list was just a tool deployed by the Modi government to stifle the freedom of speech in Parliament. With camera person Joseph, Sunil Prabhu, NDTV.
The Bihar police has suspected, they've busted a suspected Popular Front of India terror module in Patna, in which 2 have been arrested. The cop has said now, like Shakhas, they had physical training camps where they brainwashed people. The PFI, or the Popular Front of India, internal document recovered from the accused. The cops are saying that an 8-page document titled India 2047 towards Islamic rule, saying if 10% Muslim population supports the PFI, it would subjugate coward majority to its knees. The document also reads, could bring back the glory of Islam in India, will need help from friendly Islamic countries. It also reads, the PFI has friendly relationship with Turkey. But now the Bihar officer has sparked huge row by comparing Popular Front of India with the RSS. Listen in.
इसका जो मॉडस था कि ये लोग जैसे शाखा होती है, आरएसएस अपनी शाखा ऑर्गेनाइज करते हैं और लाके की ट्रेनिंग देते हैं, उसी तरह से ये लोग शारीरिक प्रशिक्षण, फिजिकल एजुकेशन के नाम से लोग अपने यूथ्स को बुला के और उनको प्रशिक्षण दे रहे थे, और उसी के साथ ही जो अपना एजेंडा है और प्रोपेगेंडा है उनके माध्यम से यूथ्स को ब्रेन वॉश करने का काम कर रहे थे। नहीं, उस प्रकार का कोई स्पेसिफिक इनपुट नहीं है कि ये प्रधानमंत्री जी के दौरे को लेकर ये हो रहा था। ये काफ़ी देर से हम इसको फॉलो कर रहे थे, लेकिन जैसा कि मैंने आप लोगों को बताया है कि जब इस प्रकार की हाई प्रोफाइल विजिट्स होती है और माननीय प्रधानमंत्री की सुरक्षा को लेकर काफ़ी इनपुट्स आती हैं हम लोगों को, तो हम लोगों के जो भी सोशल मीडिया मॉनिटरिंग सेल्स होती हैं, स्थानीय इनपुट होती हैं, टेक्निकल इनपुट होती है, तो उसको हम सुदृढ़ करते हैं। उसी क्रम में हमको जानकारी प्राप्त हुई थी कि इस प्रकार के प्रशिक्षण शिविर ऑर्गेनाइज किया जा रहा है, और उसी के क्रम में जब रेड किया गया तो हम लोगों को ऐसे डॉक्यूमेंट्स मिले जो कि भारत की संप्रभुता और अखंडता के विरुद्ध भी उसमें कुछ टिप्पणियां थी।
निश्चित रूप से एसपी साहब के मानसिक दिवालियापन का प्रतीक है। एक राष्ट्रवादी संगठन की तुलना जो बच्चों में या किसी को इस राष्ट्र पर मरने मिटने की कला सिखाती है, अनुशासन की कला सिखाती है, उसकी तुलना एक आतंकवादी संगठन जिसका लक्ष्य है 1947 तक भारत का इस्लामिकरण करना, इस्लामिक राष्ट्र बनाना, और उसके प्रति उसकी तुलना आरएसएस से किए हैं। एसपी साहब माफी मांगे, नहीं तो सरकार अविलंब इन पर कार्रवाई करे।
And the much awaited and the much talked about in the race to the next PM of UK, former Finance Minister Rishi Sunak cemented his lead over rivals to become Britain's next Prime Minister on Thursday in an increasingly bitter race to replace Boris Johnson. Sunak, whose exit from the Treasury last week was one of the first in a cascade of resignations that forced Johnson to quit, has been the front runner among conservative lawmakers, despite being blamed by some for his role in Johnson's downfall. He faces competition from Penny Mordaunt, a junior trade minister, and Foreign Minister Liz Truss, who launched her official campaign earlier, arguing she was the only contender with the experience to take the tough decisions needed. In fact, Rishi Sunak put out a video to say he is prepared to give everything he had to serve the nation, also calling it a Ready for Rishi campaign. Listen in.
I've just heard we're now well past 3,000 volunteers signed up for the Ready for Rishi campaign. I'm so grateful you're all willing to give up your time to help us restore trust, rebuild our economy and reunite our country. Thanks also to all my colleagues who have supported me so far. I know that working together we can bring our party together and beat Labour. I'm going to go out there and keep making the case today. Please make sure that you're signed up at readyforrishi.com so you don't miss out.
All right, and Mamata Banerjee, the Chief Minister of West Bengal, in a new video showcasing her culinary skills is here, and this time she was seen making momos. That's right, the Chief Minister was seen stuffing and shaping a momo at a tiny stall in Darjeeling. This was not the first time that she tried her hand at the popular street snack. Mamata had made momos during her last visit to Darjeeling as well. The Bengal Chief Minister, who is on a 3-day visit to Darjeeling, was also seen making pani puris on Tuesday. We're all a little bit hungry right now. But that's a wrap from all of us on the Bulletin. But stay tuned to NDTV for all the latest.